The 1987, A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. Man, 2018 just does not stop throwing curveballs, does it? Hey, review family, keep it high, keep it tight. My name is J Morris, your review guy, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one, I'm going to be reviewing the new 1975 album entitled A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. So the 1975 is from Manchester, England. They were formed in 2002, and this is their third studio-length album. They're also going to be releasing their fourth in 2019, and I was not really looking forward to listening to or reviewing this album, and it simply comes down to the fact that I have never been into this band. There's been very few songs I've dug from them. I've never really gotten to their sound. And yet when I went to listen to this album, when I sat down to listen to it, to make my notes for it, God, this album's amazing! Shall I elaborate? I'll elaborate. The 2016 album, I Like It When You Sleep, For You Are So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It. I remember listening to a little bit of this album back when it came out because I saw someone review it and it just kind of sparked my interest because they dug it a lot, but it was like a 77-minute album, and to me it felt super bloated. I wasn't into the sound, I wasn't into pretty much anything about it, and the same can really go for their debut self-titled album from 2013. I've just never been into this band, and it's hard for me to really pinpoint why I didn't enjoy those albums and the songs on them. I can't really just put a label on it and say this is why I thought this album wasn't as good as it could have been, or these albums weren't as good as they could have been. But that was then, this is now. We're gonna talk about this album. So, compared to some people who would really be into this band that would have heard all the singles leading up to this album, I know there was quite a few. I did not hear any of the singles leading up to this album because, like I said, being a band that I wasn't a fan of, I wasn't really keeping them on my radar for new singles. I knew the album was coming out. I was kind of planning on reviewing it, but I didn't really listen to any of the singles that led up to this album's release. And I'm kind of glad I did because it helped me go into this with a blind, just non-obscured visual representation where I could just look at the work and say, this is what this song is, this is what that song is, and not have something to base it on, more so base it on a whole concise project. This is 58 minutes, 26 seconds, and 15 tracks, and I will be straight up honest, there are a couple tracks that I am not the biggest fan of. One of the singles, Sincerity is Scary, I feel like it is a fairly good poppy electronic song, but here is my issue with the song, and this is what is going to give away that I enjoyed this album. I think that Sincerity is Scary isn't that good of a song, because it doesn't live up to the bar of the other songs on the album. It's still a pretty good song, it's just not as good. Same with a song like Mine, or The Man Who Married a Robot Love Theme. These are just okay songs, but they're definitely not the highlights of the album for me. Two Time is a great single. I really enjoyed this track. I think that it's very boppy. It has one of the most infectious choruses that I have heard this entire year from a pop song, but it is not super overblown. It's not to the effect of Imagine Dragons, where it is just super overblown, super emotional, and way too, kind of overly dramatic. I don't think it falls into that category at all. It comes off very genuine. This whole album is not overly dramatic. It feels like it was written from experience. It feels genuine. It feels like there's actual emotion going into the lyrics of this album. How to Draw is one of the saddest songs of this entire album, and this whole album has a very emotionally poignant edge to it. And if you know 1975, they are known for having some very deep, kind of cryptic lyricism, but people have been noting that you can understand it more on this album compared to previous ones. And a lot of the themes on this album really deal with regret and feeling like you made mistakes with a relationship. Some things about suicidal thoughts, some things about depression, some things about isolation and loneliness and mental issues, as well as issues that we are facing as a society. And just, there's a lot packed into each song to where this isn't the typical type of pop that you're gonna get by any stretch of the imagination, but it is still catchy and sticky on impact while still having a lot to say and a lot of important messages to convey. Be My Mistake is probably my favorite track on the album. Is it my favorite track on the album? It might be my favorite track on the album. This one is some of the best songwriting that I've heard this entire year. It is a beautiful song about how you can love someone, but you can't love someone as much as someone that you used to love, someone that really had your heart. It could be someone that I feel a lot of regret in the track. I feel a lot of kind of feeling like you made a mistake. Maybe it was your fault, and being with this person, but still feeling lonely, still wishing you could be with that other person. And the way the lyrics are made, and the way the lyrics are made on this entire album come off as so simplistic, yet so emotionally rapid and rabid, that it is just beautifully written, gorgeously assembled, and so tight-knit that it's going to be very simple to relate to the lyrics, and if you don't relate to the lyrics, to feel like you do relate to the lyrics. And it's just an amazing song. What could I say? I Like America and America Likes Me is probably my second favorite track on the album. There's some very interesting experimentation that is auto-tuned. Matthew Healy's vocals auto-tuned sound a bit wobbly, but I think that's the point. It feels weak, it feels kind of barren, despite the fact that the song itself is so expansive in the way the landscape is made, the deep kind of trap pop beat, as well as his vocals just shouting at times. This song's about gun control, I'm pretty sure. It sounds like it. It sounds like it is maybe made, I just want it sounds like it is maybe written from the perspective of a child that is afraid of school shootings, afraid of like a school shooter, and it is really, really like hard to listen to, because this is an English band. They're obviously speaking from the perspective of someone kind of like looking in through a window from afar. As someone who is from America and sees the things happen, I can understand the frustrations from the 1975, and it really did hit home for me. Inside Your Mind is another beautiful ballad, tepid, very post-rock kind of influences, very dream pop, psychedelic, just so glistening, so beautiful in the background, and these landscapes for the instrumentals are so well assembled. I can't stress that enough. They sound amazing. They sound beautiful. And once again, the lyrics really do take on an emotional edge to them, talking about isolation again. So much talk on this album of being isolated and lonesome, despite the fact that you are surrounded by people that don't understand why you're feeling the way you are, and almost blaming you for the way you feel you are. And this whole album takes on a kind of masked by a happy pop album, but at the same time, so sad and so depressive and so deep. When you cut into the lyrics, just blood comes out of just so many emotions. It's a roller coaster. It's Not Living If It's Not With You really does exemplify this whole feeling of just emotional desperation while still being happy and still having a glimmer of hope. I Always Wanna Die Sometimes closes out the album on such a... This probably has the best lyrics on the album. This is obviously about suicidal thoughts. And I just pulled up some lyrics because I actually cried. This is the first time I've cried during a song in a long time. This first verse, I would just like to read it to you because it is so powerful to anyone that goes through that I feel like this is important for anyone to hear. I bet you thought your life would change, but you're sat on a train again. Your memories are sceneries for things you said, but never really meant. You built it to a high to say goodbye, because you're not the same as them. But your death, it won't happen to you. It happens to your family and friends. Bravo. 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 That hit me. That hit me in the feels. This whole song hit me in the feels. This whole album hit me in the feels. Yeah, there's some moments where the instrumentation can get a bit weak, but for the most part, these are glistening instrumentals. These are some amazing vocal performances. These are some of the most fantastic lyrics that I've heard this entire year. It is the right length, it is the right song track, and I was enamored, I was completely enveloped, drowning in this album when I was listening to it. I even listened to some of the tracks 2 or 3 times because I just love them that much, and this is definitely one of the best pop albums that I have heard this entire year if I have not got that through yet. But I'm going to be giving this album a 9 out of 10, but what did you guys think? You can post in the comment section below if you've heard this album. Like and comment and subscribe, it really does help me out a lot. Thank you for the support recently, I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys next time. But until then, my name is J Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.